Welcome to the outdoor fish room. This is definitely a more attractive version than what I had before, which was a setup that was basically throwaway pallets and PVC pipe that had some shade cloth over the top, because I'm in Texas, and the sun is a real issue, and even for fish as resilient as Medaka, it sometimes just gets too hot. So the idea of this is basically to make something that's a little bit more appealing, gives me a little bit more room to scale. It's definitely overbuilt, but I think, as I mentioned in a previous video, it's using a lot of scrap timber. Stained it, give it a little bit of water resistance. But what are the next phases? So I'm going to finish building out these slats here so that the 40-gallon, you can see there, 40-gallon totes will run lengthways along here, and then I'll have a couple running horizontally. I made a slight miscalculation, so what I'm going to have to do is put a piece of 2x6 along here that'll run across the edge, and that will allow my extra 40 gallons that I've got to sit on this area here. I have mixed feelings about this setup. It's nice in the sense that it's easy to clip the lid on and off, but half the fun of having these fish is being able to watch them, and it's not very easy to do. This is my long fin yahiki. Breeding has been reasonably good with these guys. Took them a while to get going. But bottom line is, I think I made mistakes with this. This is probably a little bit too far in. I really wish I'd pushed these out a little bit further. Originally the plan was to use PVC piping with this mesh and to kind of just sit it on top. But using the lid structure, I think, was the right play, in the sense that it's going to give it a little bit more stability and the lid will stay in place. So if I've got critters and whatnot, they're just not going to get in there. The downside is, it's a little bit harder just to sit out here like I used to and just enjoy the fish without deliberately taking the lid off. This next weekend, I'm going to fix this problem. So with every tub, you're going to get bowing, just like you do here. And these tubs aren't even full. And they're going to be fine, for the medium term. But eventually they're going to have to be replaced. So my goal is to build some 2x4 braces that basically run along the edge lengthways, and then basically have them so that they stop this bowing problem that I've got. Not because it's a real problem right now, but mainly just to increase the longevity of these plastic tubs. They're not expensive, but the goal is to make them last a little bit longer. These are my Kirameki. The colour morph I've got with these is a lot more black and orange than what I've seen in the original strains, and I like it. So this is a solid breeding group. There is a real variety of lame present in these. You can see these a lot better when the lid comes off. The goal is basically to see these guys through to the end of the season, even though it's it's Texas, so we get a slightly longer warm season than a lot of other places in the country. But I think my breeding with these guys is coming to an end. But with next season in mind, the goal is to be really selective, focusing on those with the lame, but also the black and orange. These are my tie-ins, and they took a hit when I moved from the old system to this new one, but what I have left is a nice set of strong genes. And again, next season, the goal is to do a lot more selective breeding, honestly being a lot more focused on culling what I don't want. These lids here will be turned out, will be cut and basically turned into the lids right here. This is basically just a dump truck right here. It really wasn't meant to be anything other than somewhere to hold my sponges so they didn't dry out while I was getting everything set up. But anyone who's had Medaka for any length of time knows that eggs are everywhere and they show up when you least expected. So I had these plants in one tub, and the Yohiki longfin had clearly put some eggs in there, and so there are actually about 3 fry in here, which I'm not going to be able to find because it's a 40 gallon and they're tiny little fry, but they're living off all the paramecium that are just cultured naturally in the tub. There's a few little mosquito wrigglers in there, but you know, they really don't get a chance to get to adult stage because they get picked off by the fry. So this will eventually be turned into a grow out tub, but you can see the bigger the tub gets, the bigger the problem with the bone. You can't see it so much here, but from an aerial angle you can start to see it. And so I'm going to brace these with some old 1-inch PVC that I've got with holes in it and whatnot, because you know, I've had multiple tank syndrome like a lot of fish people, and getting a fish room inside was proven to be expensive. It was proven to be very difficult logistically in terms of the garage. Just would get like way too hot. You know, I had killies in there and I lost a really good breeding group because it was just getting too hot, and the cost of air conditioning the garage was just, it was too high. So this is the alternative, was the outdoor fish room, and this is essentially what this is going to be. Between now and Thanksgiving, the goal is to get this completely built out, have basically 4 corner posts on each part of each part of the rack, have some shade cloth. It'll probably be about, I'd say, 6 feet high, and some shade cloth over the top. That fence is 8 foot, so we'll put some posts in, put some shade cloth over the top. Not a pressing issue in the fall, but in the summer it will make a huge difference. I'm going to put pea gravel around these edges here so it's a little bit more visually attractive. I may end up converting these Bessa, or these cinder blocks, to some timber supports. I know the wife doesn't really love cinder blocks, but I'm getting away with what I can for now. And then the goal is to kind of build out along this fence here with some smaller racks that are narrower and longer. And there's some other shaded areas that might be appropriate, but the idea is as I get more selective and have you know, really try and breed more consistently to get the right kind of colors and conformation, that I'll grow this area out so that there's a narrower strip of grow out tubs. This is also just a quick, I guess, piece of advice. I mean, I found these things here on Facebook Marketplace. Some guy had them for a business. I got them for $5 each. I had been looking at bussing tubs, for old restaurant bussing tubs, but I got these for $5 each. What's nice about them, and the reason I got blue, you know, because obviously a lot of people use the black tubs, which is fine. They're great, especially for, there's a reason people show Medaka in black tubs. It just really brings out colour and lame. I got blue because when you have black tubs with Medaka, it can actually distort the colours in the sense that things look better than what they really are because of the colour of the plastic. But with the blue, I can keep all of the different kind of colour varietals, and what's nice is that the blue will make them really show what their real colours are. Chlorochi, obviously with a black tub it's really hard to see if they're really black, but with the blue it's really nice to be able to selectively grow out my fry and see who's really got the colours that I want. We got 12 of these, $60, $5 each. It's an absolute steal. So fish keeping can be expensive, and there's no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to be. And so, you know, the goal here with this channel is just to keep growing it, have some fun with it. I've got no real master plan other than to, you know, share it with other people who are like-minded, similarly interested, learn from you guys, and hopefully build, you know, a little bit of a community as this project begins to grow and take some shape. this will be kind of a 2026 plan. This is the goal for, you know, by Thanksgiving. Get this tidied up, get it set up, have essentially an automated or semi-auto water change system with 1/4-inch RO water piping hooked up to a carbon filter from my water tap system, and then I've got a linear air pump, and I'll obviously get that connected and build in some air lines so that all of the tubs are connected to air. It's centralized along with a water change system. So anyway, that's the plan. Come along for the journey if you're interested.